Hey guys, so here are some pins. I don't think I'm going to use these Mickey and Minnie ones, but I was thinking about it. Anyway, so I decided I wanted to do a fun pin craft with the Stitch, these Lilo and Stitch ones that came out of the box. I had an idea for these. So let me grab my frame. So I had gotten these frames from the Dollar Tree several years ago when it was still like the $1.25 tree. And it's a 4x4 frame. So, but it says 4x4, but the frame is actually 6x6. I usually I'm take the glass out and I'm just going to use the frame. Okay. So what I did was I cut out a piece of 6x6 paper. I wanted these cute little trees because I kind of felt like it matched this motif. And this came from Penguin Playmates paper. I made a bunch of cards with this on my whatnot. You can see them. And so it's so cute. And so just such cute little penguins and snow, polar bears and everything. Just such a sweet, fun set. So we've got our 6x6 piece of paper, and what we're going to do is we need to draw the reverse. This is going to be our snow. So I want my snow to come down like this, like a snowdrift. But in order to do that, you have to draw it from this side because we're going to cut it down. So that looks about right. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that looks about right. And you're just going to cut along the line because remember, your pencil mark's going to be on the back side of the paper. So we're cutting 2 different snow drifts. Okay. Whoops. And so now, in theory, we could use both. Well, no, I don't want that one. So I had this one coming this way. And in theory, I could use this one this way. But I don't know. I think it's like a little too tall. I think it needs to be shorter. So I think what I'll do is I'll just cut it a little shallower. And then we can still use it. So I'm going to cut it just, and then we also erase the pencil lines, you know, by just freehanding it. And again, I'm just freehanding this. So that's our first part. And then our second part is going to be right here, but we need to trim off. So we want, maybe this one's a little too tall because this one seems like that's good. And this one needs to be maybe a little shallower down. Because when we start putting our pins on, they're going to be like 3-dimensional. So we want to make sure that it looks proportionate. I'm just going to trim this little edge here. Yeah, because once we put the cardboard underneath, the key is you want the layers. Sorry. You want layers. So when you put the cardboard underneath it, it might be just right because you'll still see. Yeah, I think this might be okay because I want to make sure I still have enough. Yeah. I think this is going to be okay. Well, oh no, but I still need it to be shorter. Yeah, I still need it to be a little bit shorter. So, yeah, we need to trim off just a tiny bit from the bottom of here. So let's go ahead and get our trimmer out again. And actually, you know what I can do is I'm going to trim off a tiny bit from here too. Because I think I just want a little more of the greenery from the back. So we'll trim off a little bit from each. And let's see how that does. because it just seems a little bit too high. Okay, so we had the taller one this way. And the shorter one this way. Yeah, I like that better because then you still get plenty of the trees in the background. And yeah, and I think that's good. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our brush, our blending brush, and we're going to shade this with a blue ink. So I'm going to go ahead and take, it's just, this is my blue one. I use it for any kind of blue. I'm going to take, I don't know if Pool Party, I think Balmy Blue is going to be a little too dark. So let's go ahead and start with Pool Party. You always start with your lightest color before you get to your darkest, because the lighter, you know, the darker will absorb the lighter. Oh yeah, this is the color we want, because we just want a hint of blue so that it looks like snow, you know? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take, and all I do is I brush it. And I'm just going to go across it like this, and it just adds that texture. It adds that little bit of dimension to the top of the white, so it's not so stark. You know, and you don't have to do a lot. It's just enough. So now when I put it back down, you see how now it has that little bit of dimension compared to this white. You see, so like this is like super bright white. And I think having that tiny bit of dimension is what makes a difference with my, you know, or just with any craft, is you want to add that little bit of dimension. And I always start off the page and move on, because your first brush makes like a really dark mark. And so then you just slowly add it. And actually this one came out much lighter even, which is good, because that means that the back one will have a darker blue and the front one will have a lighter blue. And so that's exactly what we want. And so let me get it a little bit more down here too, just so it's not so stark white. Yeah. And I think I did the same for most of this too. Yeah, just a little bit. Just touching it. Okay. And so that gives us the tiniest bit of dimension to give it the snow look. We're basically making a diorama. We're making a diorama where we're going to pop up a little bit here with some cardboard. I use cardboard only because of the fact that, one, it's cheap, and two, it's easy to work with. Perfect. This is perfect. We just need to have one underneath. We just need to have one that's 6 by 6 underneath, so that oh my gosh, I should have used my other scissors that are better for this. This is just the back, so this doesn't need to look pretty. And this is just a piece of chipboard, but we need something sturdy underneath, because we need to make sure that it's going to hold, you know. I might need to cut this a little bit more here, because we got to make sure that it's can fit in the frame. So there we go. There we go. Done, done, done. And I'm just going to tape this down. I think we're done with this. I don't know why I kept that out. Okay. And so then I'm just going to tack it. So see, the back side of this was some of that paper that I used for those Christmas cards that I was selling in my whatnot. So, and I'm just going to tack this down, because this just gives us a sturdy back to our basic frame piece. Then we're going to take our cardboard, and we're going to use, I don't even think I need, see, because So if I put this much cardboard, I don't know if I want that much cardboard. That seems like a lot of cardboard. But I do, or do I want it just layered with a smaller layer underneath, like a piece of chipboard? Because I don't want it to be so far away from the trees. Oh yeah, I think the smaller chipboard underneath is going to be better in this situation, only because it just gives a little better, I think it's just going to give a little better dimension. And so when we figure out, I want to have Angel down here. I don't really like Angel, but I'm using her because she was part of the set. And we'll have Jumba. I think he needs to be like at the top. And then, but I don't know, she looks almost like she's sliding down the hill. So I think maybe that would be cute if she were sliding down. Then we have them like dancing around. You know, you're just going to kind of lay them out. And so it's a little bit, or maybe I'll have her down there waving up, and then we can have Scrump right here. I just feel like he should be at the top for some reason. And then maybe he can be here. There we go. I think I like that layout. So these three on this side and these three. I feel like she's just kind of sliding down the hill. So this one needs a second piece of chipboard underneath it to hold it up a little bit. And yeah, I think that's good placement. So we figured that out. So we'll move them off to the side so I won't lose track. And for Jumba, we don't need a huge piece. Let me get my cardboard scissors so I'm not like killing them. So for Jumba, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut a good chunk piece like right here, because we need to have it big enough for Jumba at the top. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut it. Oh no, we need it for behind him. Let's see. But we'll need this here for stitching them anyway. And we're going to have Scrump, and see Scrump will have some, got to make sure this is high enough. Yeah, let me push this up a little bit more. Yeah, because we got to make sure Scrump has something to push into, and then Stitch as well. And then this needs to push in to Jumba, but we'll place that piece last after we get this part on. I think we've got it now. Yeah. Okay, and then we'll need another piece behind this. We just got to make sure this is out of the way. Let's trim this corner down. There we go. That way it's way out of the way, and yet enough to keep everything 3D. And Jumbo will just get his own one. All right. So let's go ahead and look. All right, so we've got this. And I'm actually going to lift it up a little because I'm afraid I'm going to, yeah, this part, a lot of this is going to be covered by the frame. So yeah, so we can go ahead and put a little bit of glue here. Whoops, we need that to be, all right. Okay, just want to make sure that cardboard is covered. Then for this left side, we're going to also need some chipboard underneath it, because we said we're going to have him on top, her in the middle, and then, okay, so he's going to be here. So we just need a little bit. Actually, we just need a little bit coming out, is he's going to press into that. So he's going to hide most of it. I can actually press most of it, but I have to be careful. Okay, wait. I want him on the top, but I want his like feet on the top, but not like, okay, yeah, I have to move it over a little. Okay, I'm going to do that last because that's kind of messing me up. All right, so we've got that. So now we've got to put some chipboard here underneath this because we've got to hold up this hill. And then we're going to put a second layer. And this is just chipboard that I get out of, you can use cardboard, but this is just chipboard I get out of other packages, like for my crafts and stuff. And so we'll glue that there, but we also need this one to be higher again. So I think we're going to need another piece of chipboard, but we want it to be consistent across the whole thing. So, oh, this one might be good. Okay, here's another one. Okay, so I don't want to, I want to make sure that whatever is going to touch this layer is the same across all, so that I'm not necessarily piecemealing it across. All right, so we can put this layer here. Let's get some hot glue on the back of this. And all I'm doing is I'm just kind of placing that in. Okay. And then we're placing that on, we're going to place this on top, but we need the chipboard to kind of match it. So I'm going to trace it like right here. Okay. Because we need it to just hold up that little bit, but we also need it to be short enough so that it's not showing. So it's okay if it bends a little. We can add more if we need. And so this will then hold this one up. Yeah, there we go. Looks good. And then I can trim off that little piece there. But this should be enough. And then now everyone can like be placed in. Okay, good. All right, let me hot glue this down. And again, hot glue is just, I don't know. One, it's strong. Two, it's just easy to play with, you know? Like as far as like holding down really strong materials like chipboard. So that's why it's kind of, the only thing is you have to be really careful when you're putting it on just straight paper like this, because that can make it bubble. So you don't want to put too much on the white paper, but you can put out quite a bit on the, chipboard, but you have to be careful because I can even feel some bumps coming across here. All right. And this will get pressed down by the frame, so I don't have to worry about that too much. She just needs like a little piece behind her, or two pieces, I guess, of chipboard behind her to hold her up. So if I glue this here, will it be tall enough for her to go through? Okay, I'm going to glue these two pieces together. Whoa, that's making a big old mess. I'm glad I pulled it off the project because it spread hot glue everywhere. So if I glue this here and have her sitting on top, will it go through? think it will. Let's just do it. Yeah, that's about right. Where she's still like on top of the hill, but not too far on top. And then for Pleakley, I guess we got to do for Lilo, we're just going to press her straight in. But for Pleakley, we're going to have to do the same kind of thing, except he is so narrow. That is going to be a problem. We could do Lilo maybe instead and move Pleakley down here. And that would work. I think we need to put the frame on and then we'll do the rest. Because I think once we get the frame on, it'll help us see where we need to glue the pieces, like even this little piece for Angel. And I have a way to cover that up if I need to. So all I'm doing is I'm taking out the 4x4 glass because I made this so thick, it can't have the glass. When I did the what's the word? The Halloween one, we were keeping the glass on it, which was fine, you know. And again, these are just $1.25, you know, frames, but you can replace it with a better frame, but I have to economize and use what I have. Oh, this cardstock might be, no, it's going. Okay, I was like, oh, this might be a little too thick. Yeah, it might be a little bit too thick for, I might have made it a little too thick with all that chipboard because I'm having trouble getting the bottom attached. Yeah, it's a little too thick. Okay. Oh, you know what? I can cut some of the edge off the back here. There we go. It's a good thing I only attached it in a small spot. Good thing I only attached it in a small area. So it's having trouble on the edges, like just pressing down. So just trimming off a little bit on two sides should be enough to get it in the frame. There we go. Watch. So I was a little too hasty. And then I'm going to put a piece of white over the top. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works. And then we just put a piece of white at the last. We'll put a piece of white so that it looks prettier. Yeah. Yeah, that'll hold. It's going to be tight, but at least the cardstock, whoops, come on. Usually I don't have to fight this hard, but I think I just put so many layers on this one. It's really fighting it. Okay. All right. That helps. Okay, so now I have a full layout and understanding of where I can put my pieces and how. So, you know, I really want Jumbo like right here. And so let me just press down. Oh, you know what? He came through. I wonder if I can attach the back to him. Because if I can attach the back, then we might not have to worry. I was kind of just worrying about the layering. Let me see. Oh, it does attach. It's enough. It's enough to attach. Now, Angel will not attach because she is a second layer above. So I had an idea of covering that up with like a tree from that. We'll do Angel last. And then we had Scrump. I don't think Scrump's going to need a, I want Scrump right here. And you want to go straight down. And I don't think it, oh yeah, it barely pops through the back. So what we'll do is we'll glue a little like nub over the top or something, or put a little, like a little piece of something over the top, because we can't attach the full backing, but you don't want someone to stab their finger on that. So, and I bet you Stitch will be the same. So if we switch to Lilo, we could actually put that there and press this into her. And let's see if that works. Let me see if this presses straight down into there. Yeah. This does for Lilo. This is the one I made for Angel. You just want to press straight down into the cards, into this chipboard, because if you don't, you'll bend your pin, which I have done before. No, no. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so she's nice and layered. So I think I can get it back into that hole that I made for Pleakley without much trouble. Yeah. There we go. She will need like a little glue dot to hold her to the edge of this little hill though. So I'll put a little glue dot underneath her feet. Just a little glue dot underneath her feet here. And this is archival safe. It's not going to harm your pin. But see, it's just going to keep her from sliding around. And you can even reach under and press down. But it's just going to keep her from swinging around. I can even do the same thing with Scrump. Can be... So if we have Angel here, I guess we have to do the same thing with Angel. So let's see. There we go. Yeah, I actually think I'm just going to glue this together and down. And she's just going to like rest almost on the top. And we'll put that on the back. And we're going to just tuck this right underneath. Where I put the rip there, where I have the rip is actually where the top of the pin is going to rest. So just be careful as you're pressing straight down, because she is going to go through part of that chipboard, but the chipboard is going to hold her up. I didn't have that here for Lilo, but I do have that for Angel. And then for Pleakley, we can just press him straight down. This is where having it in the frame isn't as good. There we go. Having him in the frame is not as good because, see, it bends that paper. It's bending the corner of the paper there. And Stitch, I thought I was going to have here, but he's like kind of crowded. So that's why I was maybe going to move Scrump. I think I'm going to move Scrump. Yeah, let me move Scrump. Let's move Scrump. And let's put Stitch there instead. Yeah, there we go. And then we can put Scrump like down here next to Pleakley, or down here in the corner. Oh my gosh, so cute. I'm already loving this. And Angel really isn't my thing. I don't really like Angel, but you know, because it's the whole set. And again, we're going to go ahead and put a glue dot underneath Pleakley. And it'll just keep him from moving and swinging around. There we go. Let's press him straight in again. He's not like fully pressed. Just watch your fingers in the back. All right. There we go. And Scrump. I think Scrump can sit right there. There we go. I think Scrump can, he's my favorite, but he can sit in the corner right there. So even though Angel's not my favorite, I think she looks cute, like she's sliding down the, hill, which is why I kept her, to be honest. Because yeah, I'm not really a fan. I thought I was going to add these snowmen to this whole scene, but I think that's like too much. So we're not going to add that. So we'll just leave that be. And that finishes that. So now, but for the back, so we put a peg on the back of that, but there, we can't add the pegs here. So what we'll do is we'll add, you know, I think just adding with the glue dot, we can add a few little pieces of, I kind of hate to add these on the back because it makes it look less finished. But I don't want anyone to stab themselves on these little pieces. So what I would do is I would just kind of put a glue dot on the back of this and press it right over the top. And the glue dot is going to hold that down. I just don't want anyone to stab themselves on the... And the glue dots are strong, but this like definitely covers up the pointed pieces that are still peeking out. There we go. That just split apart a little bit. But there we go. So these pieces are, so I didn't need the cardboard this time, but so cute. I think this is just really sweet. So I think that turned out really good in the end. And so just a fun, to me, it's just a fun way to display your pins without it always having to be on a cork board. And yeah, so cute. So cute. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I appreciate you guys, and you have a great day.